I should clarify that the only things we'll left to cover, since I'm not talking about every mission we can do, are the DLC missions. One that is actually supposed to occur after the events of the ending.
In fact, if you want to get technical, Lair of the Shadowbreaker, well, really open-ended about when it's supposed to happen, was originally intended to occur after the suicide mission as well. However, due to dialogue being spoken in it that implied that the broker still had to deal with the collectors concerning his body, even after we kill them, makes for plot holes I really don't like. Thus, another reason why I do it when I do.
There does exist post-game capabilities after the suicide mission, so you can complete everything you missed if you trigger the IFF event too early. And trust me, there are a lot of side missions I have not discussed because I'm running long as it is. I just don't like to because, as I said before, it leaves you vastly underprepared to undertake the mission. And if you lose team members whose loyalty missions you've not completed, you can never do them at all.
It's entirely possible to have every single member of the team die on the suicide mission, leaving only Joker and Edie as the last bastion warning of the Reapers. But it's an ending that is written solely by those completely inept at preparing for the onslaught. If you do everything and make the right choices, there's no reason why everyone cannot survive.
Because that is what is the core of the Mass Effect series. The choices you make matter to the outcomes of the universe. That you can grasp even the smallest glimpse of salvation for everyone by doing everything you can right, no matter the morality and alignment you play. And it would be really disappointing for there, in the end, to be no choice at all.
Anyways, yeah, we're not getting straight to the suicide mission. I want to talk about Project Overlord first. On the planet Ite, a Cerberus facility has gone silent, which we go to investigate, because that's our job, as the troubleshooters of the universe.
Here we are, born to fix things, we're the troubleshooters of the universe.
So we take the Hammerhead down to the planet, and the place is overrun with Geth.
Oh, don't tell me some idiot decided to try and do that too.
Yeah, more or less. There's a rampant VI in the system controlling everything electronic, acting more like a virus than anything with how it transfers and spreads, occasionally appearing on screens as a jump scare. However, it's the first thing all series, aside from the Reapers, that has actually succeeded in getting the Geth to submit to its will. Dr. Archer... No, not that Archer. I wish it was that Archer. Oh, please, for the love of sanity, let it not be that Archer.
Scott Bakula doesn't voice anything in this series, does he?
Anyways, Archer directs us down the facility's gigantic satellite dish.
Seriously, why the hell would they have something that large in this era? It's not like they were going to beam something to every corner of known space. Oh, right. This was their project, wasn't it?
Yeah, the VI wants to upload itself off-world to gain control of more electronic devices. If allowed to do so, without any form of control, who knows how far it could spread? Well, the VI has overridden controls, meaning we need to take it down the fun way. Blow the crap up! Oh god, that made me jump. Heh, it's not like I died twice in the same life. This is my story, after all! Oh, you've got to be kidding.
You've got to be kidding.
I should probably run now. Oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. Running, 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 running!
Over here! What the hell is going on around here?
This is Project Overlord. An attempt to gain influence over the Geth by interfacing a human mind with a VI.
No. Please tell me you people weren't stupid enough to start building a Matrix.
Archer's the last on the project alive, telling us how his brother was used as the test subject, supposedly willingly, but something went wrong, and the VI they were working to create's now gone viral.
I don't know where the man ends and the machine begins.
Unfortunate, but this is Cerberus. I don't doubt they had a hand in this going wrong in some respect. Got to hand it to them, though. Usually this stuff just blows up in their face. This is the first time they've had an active hand in starting an apocalypse.
Yeah, it doesn't reflect well on the legacy of your organization's name when instead of guarding against the legions of hell, you keep working on creating them.
The facility is made up of several installations. The main one, Atlas Station, the VI is centered in. Secondary stations responsible for access keys that can lift the lockout, which we need to travel to in turn. Though as we get him to expound on Project Overlord, you can kind of begin to see the fundamental flaw, as he describes heretic Geth and how they intended to control them through a religious figurehead, the Overlord VI. The viral nature, probably a secondary element to be more complete in the invasive domination. So we take the Hammerhead to go cross-country racing, and as I've not really discussed the fireworker missions you use the ship in, I got to say I hate the Hammerhead. While it's much faster and more maneuverable, its firing rate is far slower, and it's ridiculously easily damaged. Yeah, the Mako could get trashed, but you could repair it to bring it back to full. Hell, we used it to bring down Geth ships. This thing can get busted from just fighting a Colossus. The only thing the maneuverability adds is jumping and leapfrogging environmental hazards that I don't think would pop up in real life like this. Vulcan Station is our first stop, it being a geothermal power plant, and I can't even imagine what the hell is going on with this planet to have a self-perpetuating lava flow that we find around here. And of course, we have to stop along the way to use the system to open a steam vent so we can leapfrog the Hammerhead up to a higher cavern to continue. That doesn't seem to have much magma around it.
Why? Why does the Hammerhead get catapulted into the air by superheated steam, which is less viscous than lava, mind you, and yet sink into an open river of molten magma? It floats on water!
I'm sorry, I just have big issues from a game design standpoint with things involving the Hammerhead, as it makes it feel more obviously like it's a game with all the things that are only there because it's a game things, and not the normal metatextual stuff like leveling and ability perks that can fit into the universe due to story integration. These lava flows generate uniform platforms with which to jump our shuttle onto it. That makes it seem less like it's a real world, when previously the setting tried to be pseudo-realistic, but in the future! It's built less like a facility, and more like a funhouse, or a level in a racing game. And this isn't an issue for the majority of the areas in the game. As we get to Vulcan Station, we find a droid trying to destroy the lock. Well, that's dealt with.
Shepard out.
Prometheus Station is a bit more difficult, as it's actually a crashed Geth ship. How they found it is anyone's guess, but it's obviously been here longer than the Geth-Heretic divide, another point against the mission statement of Project Overlord. And wow, the defensive shields on these things are insane. Though once more I question their design if the main shielding units are directed in the path of the installation's defensive cannon. It's kind of surreal to be inside of a normal Geth ship, especially in these circumstances. It's like...
Yeah, that's it! Thanks, random dead Cerberus researcher!
It ends up being a long trek through the ship where nothing happens, building the atmosphere as you expect an attack, and nothing happens. At least until you remove the lock.
And there's the catch. I knew this was too easy.
Very sneaky. Well, finally we get to the main location, which is, of course, crawling with more Geth, and it controls every active defense like everywhere else. Huh, I'm kind of surprised it hasn't tried to infest our guns, or Omni-tools, or suit hardware, or... Cookies need love like everything does. Yeah. The robot apocalypse is a great idea! Screw you, fleshies! Yeah, due to the cybernetic implants placed in us by Miranda's team to resurrect us from the dead, the VI can take our body for a joyride. But by interfacing us, now we can understand it. Additionally shown what Archer's been hiding from us. The early days of the project, and how David has a mental disorder. My best guess is autism. His unique mental development allowing him to communicate in a different way to the Geth. And really, how Archer fused human and VI to create this control program.
Quiet. Please, make it stop.
This is easily the most abhorrent thing we have yet seen from Cerberus in this series.
I'm begging you. Don't do anything rash.
Rash? Like forcing your own brother into an experiment?
Oh, it's worse than that. Due to David possessing his mental disorder, there's the question if he even understood the context of what Archer was doing to him. The showcasing of his mental state in the preceding scenes making it dubious he was even capable of informed consent, leaving it to his legal guardian. The one who put him in that thing!
And once more, this happened because Harper demanded results over the time to properly, safely research the viability of the project. Every time a Cerberus operation has ended up self-destructing, it's after they have become desperate. And they did the stupid thing, instead of telling him they needed more time or could not do it. Because they valued their own lives and expected to be liquidated and were then slaughtered anyways. But unlike every other time, we play witness to an innocent in the process of being abused. And I will have none of it.
Look at him. Your brother will never be the same.
The damage may not be permanent. He might recover some semblance of his mind.
Cerberus will never leave him alone. Your brother will always be a lab rat.
You're a well cared for lab rat. At least he'd still be alive.
So you'll sacrifice your brother's happiness for your own ambition.
Square root of 906.01 equals
30.1. What I've done to David is unethical. If he dies, it's unforgivable. Let me take care of him. Please.
At least he appears to have a semblance of a conscience after it all, after someone has confronted him with what he's done. Which is more I can say of other Cerberus cells. But there is no way in hell I'm trusting Archer to not abuse him again for another experiment after this.
You even think about coming after your brother, and this bullet will be waiting for you. Then we'll see who's valuable.
And so we get him the hell out of here, at a Grissom Academy, an institute that can hopefully give David the help he needs.
Well, for less depressing news, it's time for us to kill ourselves on our suicide mission! Doesn't that just pick up your mood?
Even after setting course, it takes a while to get to it. Meaning, well, we have a chance to conclude the Paramore event.
I was going to bring music, but I didn't know what you'd like. And I'm babbling like an idiot.
Relax. It's fine. I've got you covered.
And so we head through the relay, fully prepared for what's on the other side.
Me? I would have copied the IFF's program and sent in a probe, but time crunch and all that.
And the Normandy enters a massive debris field orbiting a star, made up of the craft of untold millennia and previous Reaper cullings.
You could build Unicron or Cybertron from all the junk out there. Has there been a competently done Mass Effect Transformers crossover by anybody?
But the place isn't without its own sentries, small orbs attacking the ship, but with our improved shields and hull, one gets inside.
Well, just great. All that work for nothing.
So of course, we have to take care of it before it kills everyone on the ship. Wow, how bad are the shields and hull, even after improvement, that the woefully inadequate kinetic barriers I have protecting me allow me to survive its attacks when previously light weapons fire had dropped them and almost killed me? The next challenge is the Collector's ship.
Fire Mega Particle Cannon!
It takes 2 shots, but it dies with everything they had on board.
They only have one ship. They only had one ship for everything. You're surrounded by debris. I think your collector fleets could number more than just one ship. Even if they're trying to maintain a low profile, if some other group managed to take it out long before this, how long would they have ended up taking to build a new one? Salvage parts would probably have saved some time, but then the raw stuff would all need to be done at that facility with no other support. It could have taken years.
Anyways, Joker ends up crashing the ship, like he does. Way to claim yourselves as the best pilot in the galaxy, Jeff. That's the second Normandy you've wrecked. Anyways, he will work on getting it flying again.
Though, how, considering he can barely walk on a good day and banged himself up in the earlier Collector attack, is a good question.
While the rest of the team make plans for the insertion using ED's scans of the station and the previous Collector data mine.
And this is that part I alluded to in the first part of these reviews.
While Miranda's right about some points, sending in a tech expert to unbar their way through the complex and to split our forces for better survival, do not let her words in any way have sway over who you assign to each position, and especially do not pick her to do any of the special jobs. No matter what, doing so gets people killed.
Not so fast, cheerleader. Nobody wants to take orders from you.
And by now, with experience with the characters and their capabilities, you should know who is right for all of these positions.
So, I send Legion to unlock the security doors, and have Garrus lead the second team. Cue cliché human commander inspiring speech number 264. I take Tally and Thane with me as we enter, and sure enough, the place is swarming with collectors. Legion runs into trouble in the ductworks he's using to infiltrate, necessitating we unseal the blocks before he's made into a target. Tally too long, mission failure. Well, at least there's a lot, and I do mean a lot of cover. Seriously, what's with this structure design? At least the warehouses and other construction buildings had such be more justified, but these are built into the structure. I doubt they had siege in mind at a location you could only get to through a mass relay that makes sure to wreck your ship, a debris field with secret attack drones, and your capital ship, that making your entire complex one where there's lots of things to hide behind was really in the foreplans. But whatever, we get Legion to open the door, and everybody lives. Inside, we find everybody that's been taken being liquefied.
Well, that's certainly one way to turn everyone into Tang.
Get them out of there! Hurry!
And this is why you need to immediately go after the crew. Because if you lollygagged, that wouldn't have been a random colonist you were shown dying. You would have seen Kelly being liquefied. But, as everyone lived, there's additional splitting to get back to the ship. Plus, the next regions are full of secret insects. Too many for Morden's countermeasures to, well, counter, alongside a heavily guarded stretch. I send Morden, since he has the lowest health anyways, plus he's a doctor who can up the delirious, to lead people back to the ship. The seeker swarms can be repelled with a biotic field, but that takes a very, very strong biotic to do so.
I could do it too. In theory, any biotic could handle it.
Oh, really? Well then, how'd it look if you held the shield?
Hurry, Shepard!
Thought so.
So it's a choice between sheer power and decades of control and experience. Thus, while Garrus commands the second team, again, I have Samara hold off the swarm, while we in turn cover her from Collector attack, until, finally... Now that is biotic power. Too bad we couldn't have seen more of that, but So we make it through, approaching the main chamber, but the Collectors are amassing all around us. Meaning, aside from our party, everyone else is staying behind. I of course choose my main partners Tally and Garrus to see this through, and the Shepard free writer's speech results, which seems kind of excessive since, we open the mission with one. And we head into the main chamber, where all the tubes containing liquefied humans are collecting in and...
Just any Reaper.
And on that day, mankind received a grim reminder. We lived in fear of the Titans, and were disgraced to live in these cages we called walls. Well, we would be if we had walls in space.
Yes, due to Shepard's achievement in causing Nazara's death, humanity has been chosen to receive the greatest of gifts. To become immortalized as a Reaper, the inner core of the construct supposedly built in the image of the race that would be tanked into its construction, and then sealed in the normal squid Eldritch Cthulhu-esque bodies. The process somehow preserving the minds or knowledge of the race into one massive amalgamated intelligence.
Which makes me wonder, the Borg from Star Trek, would they find this an admirable form of perfection, since their assimilation, through maintaining the body in a cyborg-esque form, enacts a similar fusion of minds? The true heights for their race as this collective is immutable? Or would they see this as an affront to their continued quest for perfection, because all the diversities they seek from other species to expand their viewpoint and knowledge base are all being scrambled together as the essence of what the race was has been lost? I know this is not a tangent, but it's part of a bigger question on how this whole scenario compares to other science fiction works in the scale of the threat.
But the process would literally take almost every organic of that race to achieve the full construction. So, of course, we have to kill it, severing the lines, injecting it with human slurry while under fire, dropping it into the depths. Of course, since this is the core of the base, this is where we blow it up. Only for us to get a live transmission from Harper, asking us to save the base, and just trigger a device that will wipe out every organic being so it can be used in the defense of humanity. Are you high?
Our best chance against the Reapers is to turn their own resources against them.
For the galaxy, for humanity, or for you?
This base is a gift. We can't just destroy it.
This base is a trap. Who knows what's here that can screw with people's heads, or how the tech here can and will be used by you idiots.
I didn't discard you because I knew your value. Don't be so quick to discard this facility. Think of the potential.
Tally, I asked you to hold on to a grenade for when we shafted Cerberus. Well, I'd like it now. Yeah, the potential gains of this facility do not outweigh the risk, especially from what we have seen of Cerberus firsthand. With their openly antagonistic stance to everything non-human and their obvious lack of valuing life to even our own people, handing it to them is just plain suicide.
Shepard, think about what's at stake, about everything Cerberus has done for you.
I have. However, before we can blow this place and go home, it turns out the human Reaper wises from its grave. So now we have to terminate the giant Terminator. But in doing so, it wrecks the platforms. Did I go drinking with Garrus and Tally again? I swear, I have to stop being goaded into the dextro mix. Oh crap! Garrus, get up. We've got to move. Tally, come on. You're alright? Yes. Okay, now run. This place is going to blow.
Survivors on board, we're just waiting for you.
Human, you've changed nothing. Your species has the attention of those infinitely or greater. That which you know as Reapers are your salvation to destruction.
Oi! That's my line!
And yeah, the place goes up, Harbinger releasing control over the Collectors, who go silent and then die, while the Normandy takes a long trip back to normal civilized space, while the crew begins repairs, and I get to stick it to Harper when he tries to be pissy.
I should have known you'd choke on the hard decisions. Too idealistic from the start.
Idealistic? I'm a realist, buddy.
I know what you are, and the price of dealing with you. We do things my way from now on. Harbinger is coming, and he won't be alone. I'm gonna make sure we're ready when they get here. You can fall in line or step aside, but don't get in my way.
And get in line we should, for by doing the exact opposite of what he and his organization, by proxy of Miranda, has done, we've gained the loyalty of people that had no reason to bear such. People we met solely for this, and got them all through alive with intelligent reasoning. What would have slaughtered so many others, has slaughtered many others. We survived because we found that glimmer in the darkness, and chose the path that would lead us to it. And that choice, that ability to choose freely, makes all the difference in the
Oh god. This is going to suck.
at least with the post-game system in there, we can have some final words with the crew in the aftermath.
I'm running a fever, I've got a nasty cough, and my sinuses are filled with something I can't even describe. And it was totally worth it.
But wait, isn't there one more mission?
Yes, there is. It's Arrival.
Admiral Hackett, one of the bigwigs of the Alliance, contacts us with a covert operations request. Recover a scientist, Dr. Kenson, from Batarian territory. Seems she found a Reaper artifact, and while the Alliance, much like every idiot military in the galaxy, denies the existence of the Reapers, the Alliance is at least not above researching the possibility. Problem is, of course, Batarian territory, and Hackett insists it be done alone, with no other support.
This is likely to allow additional time between the end of the game's events, and to imply everyone parts ways after the mission concludes, as pretty much everyone is off doing their own thing at the start of Mass Effect 3. Again.
But yeah, we're going solo on a stealth mission, and this is probably the only area where I regret not playing an infiltrator, as it can get difficult to sneak around the complex without raising the alarm, and then straight up killing things. But eventually we find Kenson and release her, the woman telling us that the device they found is in fact an indication that the relay here is in fact the Alpha Relay, the relay closest to wherever the Reapers have hidden themselves in dark space, so if they can get to this relay in the next few coming days, the galaxy is screwed.
Actually, there's this thing called stellar drift you may not have heard of. See, since the galaxy spins, if you're out of the loop of that way farther out, unless whatever you're situated is set to automatically adjust for that ludicrous orbit, methinks since they haven't used this option in the millions of years since the cycle began, it would probably be ridiculously farther than it was originally in relation, and another relay would likely be in closer relative range, active or not. It'd make more sense.
And buy into the angle with which they are descending into the galaxy in the cutscene,
if their base in dark space was above with respect to the spiral of the galaxy. But if that was the case, well, 1, this was not have needed to take place on the outer rim of the galaxy. 2, the Reapers could have targeted any relay and entered the network for their siege, invalidating the necessity of what comes next. And 3, remove the conditions by which Mass Effect 3 starts, by not forcing these events to take place, which means ultimately this DLC mission, though canon, can come off as kind of stupid when you step back a bit.
Not helped by the fact that she spills all of this to you, and makes it seem as if getting the project, a way to disable a mass relay, is really important to stopping them. And then it turns out she is indoctrinated by the Reaper artifact she found out here. Yeah. In other words, she had no reason to tell him anything at all. We just need to be told she had some research she could not allow to be left behind on the artifact, stuffed him in here, and left us totally in the dark, and would have worked better narratively, as then we'd have to piece it all together ourselves, removing the heel-face turn aspect of it, with her being enthralled, versus 1 second she's on our side, and then the next everything she said she was going to do was a lie and she's cray-cray.
Okay, I know that sounds like it's the same thing, but it's meant to be contextual. One is acting in opposition to previous cases of indoctrination, as we have been showcased in the red parts of this universe, while the other is being a deceitful person because of indoctrination, and only spilling the beans once they perceive them as having changed to their side.
Because part of the plan is to stuff us with the indoctrination artifact and have our brains washed. The process of trying to get away from it, putting us into a very long battle against what has to be half of this facility's forces, who have all become indoctrinated after who knows how long. At least as long as it took to set up the project on the asteroid.
What's the project? Well, before the indoctrination took hold, the researchers here managed to assemble a massive network of Mass Effect engines, with intent to plow the asteroid into the Alpha Relay with such force that even the unobtainium the things are built out of would not be able to resist the force, and as such blow up. Now, it's previously been established that the relays can survive supernovas, and only be pushed out of location with respect to where they were before.
And supernovas release a ridiculous amount of energy, between 1.5 and 1,000 foes. A foe, in this case, being a unit of measure equal to 10 to the power of 44 joules of energy.
That's a 10 followed by 44 zeros. Our sun, in its entire 4.567 billion year lifespan, has been calculated to have released 1.2 foes of energy total. Not even equivalent to the smallest supernova scientists have yet measured. Seriously, if we ever get solar power popularized and more efficient, we will never run out of power. So what kind of force does this asteroid have to impart to blow one of these things up?
And not just blow it up, but damage it so severely that it in turn will cause an explosion on the scale of a supernova.
And I'm not even kidding, that's what happens. As established in this DLC, destroying or heavily damaging a mass relay will cause such a release of energy. The only equivalent force is something that outshines an entire galaxy in intensity the moment it occurs to a stellar body. That is ridiculous, and I'm kind of split on Mass Effect 3 not following up on that at all, despite the fact it's canon. Probably they ignored it entirely.
Hell, they have absolutely no intention of even activating the damn thing, since they now want the Reapers to reach the relay. But if they'd all been turned, why complete the project? Why not just sabotage or disassemble the damn thing so it wouldn't work in the first place? I mean, yeah, it's the obvious resolution to this conundrum, but it only continues to exist by them continuing an action that, logically, once they were brainwashed or in the process of being brainwashed, they no longer should have been doing. Even if they were indoctrinated after completion, the question still stands, why is it working now?
Though you could say the same thing of the Cerberus team with the derelict Reaper IFF, but at least that was used as bait to both get Shepard's team there and as a way to sabotage the ship for collector retrieval, so there was a layered purpose in the end. That cannot be applied to the pilotable asteroid that can just crack a planet.
I have a lot of issues with this DLC, not made any better with how we end up knocked out. No matter what we do or how long we fight, the artifact takes the choice from us and knocks us cold with nary an explanation, allowing us to be exposed to its effects, with us completely unresisting for 3 days. And since it was directly responsible, who knows what else it did? Hell, since indoctrination doesn't require a lot of exposure to begin, and we've been building up encounters with Reaper tech over time, and a lot more next game, and no one is immune to it, who knows? We could have already started to slip down the slope of indoctrination.
At least you would think, with some of the insanity that goes on there. We've encountered indoctrination devices This is the 4th time in this game now, and 2 to 3 times in Mass Effect 1 as well. There's gotta be cumulative damage. We just need to know where it begins.
Anyways, they lock us in a medical bay for that time, wanting us alive. Takes away all of our equipment.
No glitch. The sedatives aren't working.
Should have read my medical records. Sedatives, wake me up, bitch. So yeah, we're locked in the room, and yet there are controls for the sentry drones completely available to us.
Why the hell would you do that? I mean, okay, the sentries are useless against actual soldiers, but they're pretty good against slaughtering civilians. If their normal patient was a lunatic, it'd be pretty easy for them to escape. Which is what we're doing!
The sentry gets us free, and we suit up, and fight through the facility, learning we have 2 hours to... Crap. Well, okay, that's bad. So, small window to succeed in getting the relay down. I mean, this seemed like a barren world. What could happen if we blew up this system?
Warning. Activating the project will result in an estimated 305,000 casualties. Do you wish to continue?
Have I that right?
It isn't like that.
But the final responsibility is mine. Mine alone.
I hate this decision. Because... ultimately... there's no choice.
With Mass Effect 1, my decision to kill the Council was perpetrated by the situation. That the wrong people were in place that led to this terrible calamity which threatened the galaxy. And there was nothing to imply they would change their ways afterwards. The decision to kill them came from holding back forces to definitively eliminate the true threat, Nazara, over weakening our side as well by going after less critical targets first. Letting the Destiny Ascension be destroyed was fully our choice. We could have saved it, but the needs of the many and those they wronged outweighed their survival.
Here, the game specifically shows you what happens if you let the time run out and you don't destroy the relay. You know what it is? It's the same thing that starts Mass Effect 3. The Reapers got to a relay and swarmed the galaxy, which was unprepared for such an assault, just 6 months later. Only for some reason, this is the rocks fall, everybody dies ending. It's ultimately pointless as a result.
There is no way to save these people. Your action or inaction gets them killed either way. And it's a foreshadowing of one of the big issues of the 3rd game. Your only choice then becomes if you warn the Batarians to give them some chance at escaping their doom, but at the cost of giving some form of vocal evidence that Shepard was responsible for this calamity. Destruction of garden worlds, any planet capable of supporting life, is a war crime agreed upon by every government and organization. Unlike any other decision we have yet made, this is unjustifiable, and yet we are forced to make it. Kensen is, of course, only now trying to sabotage the project, meaning on top of deciding to become Decayed, Destroyer of Worlds, we're compounding this by actively making it so it does happen.
And without the context of the Reaper invasion, it would honestly seem as if this is the noble scientist stopping the lunatic military officer from annihilating the world. 'Cause that's what's happening!
All you had to do was stick.
Oh crap. Yeah, that happens whether or not you shoot her, defeating the entire point of the prompt. And we are knocked out again, coming to as the countdown reaches its last moment, getting to a transmission relay so Joker can pick us up, bantering with Harbinger one final time.
This seems a victory to you. A star system sacrificed. But even now, your greatest civilizations are doomed to fall.
Yes. People will die. Maybe we'll lose half the galaxy. Maybe more. But I will do whatever it takes to rid the galaxy of the Reaper threat. However insignificant we might be. We will fight, we will sacrifice, and we will find a way. That's what humans do.
But there is no hope here. The Normandy fleeing, as we see the asteroid hit the relay. As a wrap-up, Hackett comes aboard to check us out and debrief us in person. Not happy, especially since we have no evidence, and telling us we'll need to come to Earth to answer for our crimes, which will begin the next entry.
And that was Mass Effect 2, and despite my complaints, I totally understand why so many people praise it so much.
The characters are distinct, and you can learn a lot about them, something which is my big drawback to their series and games. Even side ones I wanted on my big damn ship that we can't get. The setting is varied, and the game retains much of its atmosphere, with the stylization consistent through most of its areas, and builds off of previously established lore without significant contradiction. It doesn't really fix a bunch of the setting's flaws and idiocy, however, and there are a lot of sloppy moments in the storyline that I've brought up, but admittedly happened so far apart with all the other good content, it doesn't majorly detract, mostly becoming fridge logic things.
And it's really only my own issues with such moments that keep me, to bring it back around to my opening statements, from rating it as highly as so many others do.
The cutscenes add to the action, with showing how awesome the cast is, and the dialogue has meaning, even if a lot of it can be a bit stilted, in part due to how the options somehow come off awkward. Still, the voice cast was excellent, and put a lot into complementing the personalities of the characters most of the time. The storyline, despite the hindrances it put everyone through, and backsliding on what the first game implied this entry was going to be about, did make it so things are moving along, that there is hope in this universe to get things back on track for preparations towards the coming major conflict, a lead into the war ahead, and the right people are in place to help make a difference when things do begin. Hell, half the reason I liked the Renegade options so much in this game is because, well, nothing's really changed in 2 years. In the storyline, the looming threat's been forgotten, and the way I play my Shepard in this entry is a man that's brought back from the dead to find himself irritated beyond measure that things have not only failed to move towards preparing for this threat, but being a bit bitter and impatient about the lack of progress because everyone's too busy wasting their time with politics. So it's just that much easier to let the anger flow at idiots and criminals that work against achieving that end goal of avoiding extermination. At least from the perspective that had the experience of that horror crammed in his brain a half-dozen times. Honestly, the best part about BioWare games is the freedom of response, both able to judge a situation from its outset and being able to inform yourself, then acting out either by your own morality or how you want the character to act. Able to interpose yourself into the position in a manner not a lot of role-playing video games allow you to. That choice is powerful and impactful, filling in what is otherwise some dull moments by making a person playing able to feel like they do matter, as it all culminates later, feeling as if the dialogue all means something with how you shape the encounters. Each of the bits that only trigger if you upload a previous save, I love seeing, and love re-triggering for that invoked emotion of making a difference, a real difference, even if they are pre-scripted events. The illusion built that there's in fact a point, an eventual payoff, making me want to do all of the side stuff, and it not seeming as grueling at all. Part of that illusion being that these are people with problems, we can help them through.
And I guess that's something to remember at the end of all this, that we will be able to have that choice, to shape how the ending of everything will turn out, with everything we've done having mattered. Unless, they disregard that and give you nothing but no-win scenarios, Pyrrhic victories and traps, but what are the odds of that happening? Yeah, I don't like Mass Effect 3. That was emotionally draining. My long john to Baskin Robbins, here I come.
The target has left.
It matters not. Its time will come. Destroy the device.
Acknowledged. Kill process confirmed.
Good. Return to base.
Acknowledged.